is. I mean, there, of course, we have now been living in a world which has been structured just after the Second World War. There's a lot of things, the structural things that is up in the air right now. Yeah, some of the institutions that I think we should maintain and keep. I think NATO is a fantastic thing. I think there are trade institutions that are great, also, or a trade agreement that we should keep, because it'll actually help us trade more with each other. But of course, there will be things that we need to look at, and we need to understand also that the world has changed. We need to look at the BRICS countries and say, well, they were a smaller part of the world back 70 years ago. Now they have become a larger part. Of course, they need to become into a, we need to have a new monetary setup. We need to have a new setup where we recognize that also from a political and financial perspective. So these things has to be updated, no doubt about that. But just imposing trade tariffs, I don't understand. And then you show who's the bigger guy in terms of who will fold first. And again, if you the ones that actually are buying the most outside of their own country will be the one who loses, because then they will see that they will actually have higher prices on the goods that they buy abroad in the future, and that is going to be a burden on the consumer. So I hope that we can get to a point where we understand that, of course, we need to upgrade, bring it into the 21st century with everything, with all the institutions that we have to, and then that will promote growth. And we understand that, yes, there will be times in history, also we've seen it before, where we get these technology leaps, and that requires that all countries actually then start to look at themselves and say, do we actually have a skilled labor force? And I think that is the problem you'll need to look at. You'll need to look at that, with AI and with the everything that we've seen just over the whole digital world. Well, we will need to see that there will be people there where, just like myself, I'm 50 years old. I will. It can be a hard thing if you do not work with laptops, computers, AI, and the things on a daily basis, and you just actually in the beginning of your career you were using a typewriter maybe, and now you sit and you see these kinds of technology leaps and you're left far behind. That is a problem, but we need to then look into how can we then upskill these people to make sure they doesn't just get left on the station while the train is moving, and that is a severe problem. You can probably also see some of that. I think there is a structural unemployment moving into the US. You'll actually see the number of weeks where people are unemployed is now higher, and has been consistently higher for the last 15, 16 years. Excuse me. And I think it can have to do with the situation where you see a shift in technology, and then there'll be a part of the older part. I'll probably be part of that myself now, which will simply not understand and will not have the requirements to meet that is needed in that labor market. So I think that is what is need to be focused on, and not trying to say, okay, we need to fight with everybody on who buys more from the next door neighbor. That is not the way forward.